technical director, and my double knowledge is software solution and a complex continuous manufacturing process, especially in semiconductors and pharma.
Good, excellent.
Next, was that Dino?
I can start, yes, thank you. I am Dino from Italy. Many years as CMO, CCO for medtech company internationally with J&J specifically, many franchises. Working on surgical instruments as a marketing, now fractional manager and supporting as a CCO and CMO some startup company in the health tech, healthcare and wellness sector. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Dino.
Thank you. Your turn, Jean.
Thank you.
Jean 𝗂𝗂𝘁𝗂𝗍𝗆. I'm a cousin of 𝗀𝗂𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗏, and I am kind of spread out. I am a former military. I use my military experience as a leadership, safety, and performance coach for high-risk industry around the world, mostly petroleum and gas, but also chemical plants, aviation, maritime, anything that's high risk. But I also teach international relations at a local university here in Bordeaux, and I'm looking at starting a couple AI projects, both for international geopolitics. I'm on a board of advisors for an AI platform that's helping NATO build resilience in the Western world, but also looking at AI projects for businesses in general. I'm also looking at maybe going back into the aviation industry because I was a helicopter pilot when I was in the military. So yeah, a mix of aviation, a mix of coaching in leadership, safety, and performance, a mix of AI programming and geopolitics.
Interesting. Thank you, Jean.
So maybe we're just gonna wait 1 more minute until we get started, because I see that. Oh, okay, yeah, I thought at least Cyril was coming. So good, Cyril, welcome. Everyone,
Yes,
just had a quick intro, so I can let you introduce yourself quickly in a minute. Yeah, go ahead. Can you hear us? Hello, Cyril. Can you hear?
Yeah. Can you hear me, you?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Cyril, you can just give a quick few words about yourself so we know more about the audience.
Yeah, good one. Cyril French, not of France, been 16 years in Barcelona and about 15 years in startup as well, mostly in operations. Lived through fundraising process, lack of cash, lot of cash, necessity to optimize or to hire sales teams, BPO, bit of everything, internal and external. And yeah, that's it. That's why looking forward to exchange today. Let's see.
Excellent.
Great. So I think now maybe Jean-Charles, it's going to be your turn to introduce yourself and to lead the conversation. So, and again, as we start, we are a small group, so it's very easy to interact. So don't hesitate. We can leave the micro on. You can use the chat or you can just speak up, and let's make it really an open conversation as we go. All right.
Thank you, Alexandra, for everything and for inviting me to have this speech today with your platform. So I'm Jean-Charles Spanelis, and over the past 15 years with my company, I had the chance to work with a lot of founders, mostly startups and some scale-ups. Not so many big corporates, even if I'm helping startups to sell to big corporate. As you know, I mean, it has to be very interactive. I mean, I would be very happy that you can interact, even if it's not easy. But please feel free to stop me, or if you don't get my English with my very strong French accent, please stop me and let's discuss. And I think the idea today is to be very pragmatic. I was really on the ground for the last 16 years. unfortunately, with COVID-19 5 years ago, I stopped to be on the ground. I'm on the ground of the screen, right? And that's the new reality. So we have to make deals also with video conference. So let me start with a new, let's say, with what happened to me a few years with a seminary of the same kind. I was asking about the sales challenge of the attendants, and one guy, he just raised the hand and he just talked about the failure, you know, he had, and it was interesting because it changed totally the agenda of the webinar, because very often I think in sales everyone is speaking about success and about everything going on and so on, and I think that there are much more failures than success at the end. So please feel free to share anything you think useful. Also, just to tell you this, this presentation has been done more from my experience from the last 16 years. So maybe it's not exactly what you hear from every source, but feel free to ask me if something is strange or whatever. Let me jump to what I'm calling the sales growth puzzle, because at the end of the day, it's always very complex, and aligning outsourcing, structuring, and auditing at every stage, it's a huge challenge. Why it's a huge challenge? Because in most of the case, however you are a startup or scale up or SME, nobody is doing auditing inside the sales department. Nobody is going to structure or restructure the department, you know. So outsourcing is even like a new name for most of the companies, you know. So I know it's a ambitious topics today to speak about the three concepts: outsourcing, structuring, and auditing. But I will try to give you my best to make it a bit more clear. So I will start by maybe by a few questions that might be interesting for you. It's in one word, what summarized your biggest sales challenge this year? That will be my first question. And the second is that if you have already today like a frustration, a question from LinkedIn or from a client interaction last week, if someone wants to share, please feel free to interact.
Okay, so I have multiple products that I'm offering. And my biggest sales challenge is that I am purely dependent on one main client relationship manager. I just came back from 6 months in on and off with Nigeria, and now that the contract is in suspense until our audit in February, I have no other missions, and I'm waiting for another client to look for to engage with. Now, I also have a ton of other products. I have two businesses, one in Miami and one in Bordeaux. So I'm finding ways to occupy my time waiting for this second mission. But one of the things that I'm occupying my time with is thinking about how do I become less dependent on this one client source, right? It's not a client, it's a entity that sources my clients for me. Finds which client needs my intervention so that I can go intervene, right? How do I build a independency without losing the potential for this client to call me and say, hey, we have 3 people that are interested in having you intervene with them now, and I've already said yes to other clients.
Thank you, Jean, for these two very good questions. So I will try to answer you. So it's never easy. Ideal world would be to be able to scale everyone in real time, but it's not possible. So my experience is to always starting from a very basic point, which is if I had just one basic sales manager in the company, even not a senior person, like if I have just one senior manager, what I would ask him to do if you have only 2 days to do everything. And at the end of the day, I think the answers, part of the answers is here. At the end of the day, the most urgent, the most important needs to be, let's say, cannot be outsourced. So no matter you're going to proceed, you need to maximize your time in front of the clients and in front of the prospect, and everything that can be outsourced to colleagues, to teams, partners, intern, outside partners has to be done. So I mean, it's never easy, but I would say that very honestly, on my side, I feel always extremely busy every week. That's my impression. But reality is that when I look in my calendar, how many hours for the last weeks I had in front of VIP clients closing very huge deals. I mean, it's very little. It's very little. And I mean, what I'm going to say won't make my publicity, you know. To be honest with you, it's less than 7 or 8 hours per week to be in closing meeting, or to be in very, very interesting meetings where I find it very useful to be there, you know. Otherwise, I would say, well, everything could be outsourced. They don't need me. So that's what I would say. Anyone want to share?
I agree with you. I think in a way I've outsourced my client management too much, and so I should probably try to dial that back, right? So I can be less dependent on that one outsourced client manager.
Probably, yeah. Okay, so if there is no other remark, I jump to the other slide. So I will define 3D, even if for most of you, I mean, it's kind of clear, but the three profiles we have today between startup, scale-up, and SME. So I always say, I mean, in every company, I mean, sometimes the three levels are not that obvious for everyone, but I always tend to sum up this between startup hustle, scale-up stretch, because it's stretching. Right? When you are a scale-up, it's really a scalability issue, and when you are like SME, it's more about maturity. So I tend to have this in my mind, because at the end of the day, this mindset is very different from the three stage, from the three type of company, and very often for startups, it's a mindset of rushing, because a lot has to be done by the founder, and very often with the co-founders. So I also on my side regularly post some polls and kind of studies in LinkedIn to have some feedbacks and so on. And recently, from what I could read on my LinkedIn, is that on the most issue and thing that could be improved were team structures, process clarity, and customer fit. This was really like repetitive on the startup level, and it's something that sounds quite popular on that. So I would say that we always have to diagnose ourselves, try to make an audit of where we are. I mean, even if we are like a senior with a lot of experience, I think that to have an external eye from someone skilled enough is always interesting. At the end of the day, no one can be skilled today in every topic. It's impossible. So I think it's always interesting to have this curiosity. So what I read also from different sources is that most of them, 58% of people I asked, said to me that their main pain was linked to misaligned teams. So very often misalignment is between sales and marketing on my side, because this is more the units I see. So misalignment, it's a very big problem for founders of startups, because at the end of the day, even if there are very small teams, there is still like a gap between sales and marketing. So that's for the profile of startups. And I think after, on the next slide, I just put you like a sum up of the profile and the main obstacle I see. So profile per profile. So with a mindset, with the 3 type of mindset you can get through startup, scale up, and SME. For SME, I'm talking about resilience, because very often you hear, we've seen that, we don't need, because they're already very mature. But at the end of the day, they have a need of, they are very used to legacy routines. They are kind of comfort, and and they need to adapt to new markets. And sometimes just selling to a new country, it's extremely complex for them, when for the scale up or startup, it's quite natural. So these are the main, let's say, challenge I can see. The question we can ask to these companies also, as a founders, am I doing or controlling everything myself? Do I need to delegate? If I am a scale up, are my teams really working together? Is there are they aligned between sales and marketing? And for SME, is that am I able to sell? I mean, I sold a lot of product and services. I don't know, as a SME in France, Switzerland, or UK, can I sell to Germany at the beginning of next year? That's a very basic question that can, let's say, result to having maybe an external audit, make a reset, big reset, and everything. So next, before any question at this stage? So I keep going. So thank you. So next, so let's start at the business beginning. It's the truth and what we see really on the ground. So some question. I prepare some question in every slide to make it a bit more concrete and interactive. So anyone here feel that in their company currently is relative to only one person's time energy? Like, do you feel that in some of your companies where one guy has all the roles and responsibility? That would be my first question. And the second question would be, if someone has tried already to make sales outsourcing concretely, can be today or it can be before in your old experience. It's if someone wants to share that. Otherwise, I will do it myself.
I guess here, just jumping, we are. I think mainly the audience is more about independent who need to sell themselves for the expertise. So because we don't have I think really people in the other scenario, but of course if you are just tell. So I would say yes, I think some of the challenges really to do it all is probably that to be founder-led sales who unfortunately don't have the capabilities, maybe at least to hire someone to do the sales for us. So the outsourcing part, I guess, could be interesting. And I would say even me on my part, honestly, as I'm trying to grow Swiss Lab, I receive a lot of emails about people who are trying to sell me database, to help me with my sales, to attract more people. And this always look like scams. I'm very suspicious, and I tend to usually just delete this, and it takes energy. And that would be, on my side, I would say, what is a good outsourcing, how to identify, what do you really need if you would like to outsource, to make sure, especially as an independent, for example, the value for money is so important. So any advice on that part on my side would be interesting.
Yeah, good question, Alexandra. Thank you. Now, I think it's you said a lot of things in this question. I think one common thing today it's that we all see is, as you said, suspicion, and now everyone is closing the door because everyone gets a lot of email, prospecting email, and so on. So prospection has become extremely difficult today, and it's not true when someone is saying everything is going very well on the prospecting side. It can be inbound or outbound. I don't believe it because it's so complex that sometimes just getting the right person and having a clear discussion with this person, sharing insight, sharing his budget for a project it's already a very big success. So on this side, I think there is no miracle. There is no magic. So I think it's very tough for everyone, and because it's very tough for everyone to sell, I think that outsourcing part or all sales activities to someone else or to another company is risky. It's risky, but it will make you save time. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a trade-off. I mean, you won't have everything. So it's risky because you delegate some of your DNA to someone else that will sell for you with your mindset and with your DNA. But on the other side, you will save a lot of time because if this person or if this company is able, without your active support, to generate as many leads as you, as the founders, and very quickly, I mean, it's already a success. It's extremely successful. I always say to the founders, sometimes they say, hey, Jean-Charles, it looks very interesting, your slide and blah, blah, and so on. But at the end of the day, how can I believe you? I mean, just try. I mean, you're not like that, just try it and you will see. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I mean, it's no problem. Sometimes people, they just, and companies, they just forget that they have to try. But they try everything on AI, trying new systems, and so everything is trying everything. But when we speak about sales, everyone is, no, how can I try, But yeah, of course, they have to try. And it's always better to try because if they try and if it doesn't work, probably they will be more effective after, because internally they will have tested with an external partners something specific that probably they have not tested it internally. So it's really like a matter of testing and challenging.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jean-Charles. So I have a specific question that is related to your first question, right? Who feels right now that their company's growth is throttled by one person's time, energy, and bandwidth? My client manager, so the name of the company is 𝗀𝗂𝗏 International, so we can go kimono, right? I work directly with them as an independent contractor, and they are the ones who find my clients that are mostly oil and gas. Right now, I have one main client manager that is based out of London. He's a former British Air Force officer, and he's in charge of Europe, Africa, and Middle East. And oil-wise, we have a lot of companies present in Africa and the Middle East. And he also happens to have Indonesia, which is nowhere near the Middle East. And I believe he is got too much on his plate, but unwilling to relinquish any aspect of it because he never knows where he's going to be making money, and so he doesn't want to let go of any portfolio, and yet doesn't have the time, energy, or bandwidth to do it all. We've spoken to 𝗀𝗂𝗏 International about breaking up his portfolio so that he may have more time. Other than being the client manager, he's also a coach, and he does conferences, and he attends conferences, and that also takes quite a bit of his time, energy, and bandwidth. So outsourcing from a company that's very specific in what their DNA is, right? So they only hire former military officers who have commanded at a certain level and who have proven some sort of a leadership and safety and performance experience that they believe can respond to their clients' problematics. How do you, when you have such a very defined specialist role for client manager, how do you outsource and how do you AI if you're that specific, right? It's not like I am Colgate trying to sell toothpaste around the world, and I need sales managers, but I have a very wide portfolio of who could fill that void. Whereas for 𝗀𝗃𝗏, it's a very, very specific niche that can fill the void of the client manager.
Yeah, thank you, Jean. Actually, yeah, it's an interesting case. I mean, there is two cases. On the client management side, on my side, what I experienced is that in the project we are doing from sales outsourcing, even if there is some slight differences between client management, account management, customer success management, let's assume that they are very close roles. Okay, so in these roles, client management, account management, customer success management, to me, it's mostly a question of budget, because usually this person they know very well one type of product or one sectors, and they are the right people to communicate with the end clients and understand very quickly a new challenge. So these people anyway are key, and they are expensive, and at the end of the day, it's the client decision. If the client wants to outsource and have success more quickly, he will need to pay more, because we will need to have in this project a very good account manager to manage this kind of sectors of this kind of new product. And I always say to the clients, you cannot have everything. So if you want like pure execution, maybe we will put the best salespeople to do calls, phone calls, or email or whatever. But if you want to have someone connecting every day or every other day to manage with you and to coordinate with your team, this profile, even if he works, part-time, I mean, the cost of the project will be higher. And so very often the clients, once we say that, he is looking internally if he has someone that could be the pilot, the project pilot. And in this case, this person usually he doesn't want to pay outside. So he challenged someone internally that he pays already, and this person is becoming a contact point. I don't know if it's much your.
No, thank you for that. That's probably about the right answer. I think I need to have a better discussion with 𝗀𝗃𝗏 International about spreading out his portfolio and paying him in a way where he will feel he can let go of certain other aspects and that others can take for him. I think right now his pay scheme is based on commission. So he doesn't want to let go of a single project because he's not sure which one will be fruitful. Whereas if he has a salary and commission type method or formula, then he may be more willing to let go of certain projects so that others can take up the slack, and we may be more successful in dealing with our clients. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and at the end, it's I mean, very often I think that when it's not moving on in the right direction for outsourcing, very often it's more like a human issue. At the end of the day, I mean, everything is clear. You put the slide, the ROI, and I mean, if you don't want to test, it's because someone is saying, no, it's too risky for me. At the end of the day. So let's move on to the next slide. So from the startup, so let's have a look to the next challenge for scaling up and staying aligned. So between sales and marketing teams. And I had a question actually this morning from Alexandra that I think some of you asked regarding how outsourcing and restructuring impact company valuation. So I found it a very interesting question, by the way. So I prepared a few something on that, because it's a question actually I had thought, but in a different way recently. So I tried to separate in three between outsourcing, restructuring, and both. If you combine both, the way it could impact the valuation. So I don't know.
So just interrupting quickly. So Cyril, this is the question you asked this morning. Maybe you want to rephrase it so just everyone is clear about the question. Would you like to rephrase or give a bit of background or something?
Okay. It was mostly in the context of startups, obviously, in which and mostly marketplace platforms where the value of the company is based both on technology but also the people, okay? And having the necessity at some point to outsource, especially when you go to market, when you expand to other markets. We've tried, like with BPOs, to open new market. It worked fine in the beginning, and then you input like customer success teams and everything. But then we noticed that, okay, but the one of the questions from the investors was, well, how many are you guys? And then they run the numbers. and then, okay, but based on number of employees, the value there, even though obviously there's EBITDA, there's revenue, there's also KPIs. The number of employees and the number, the teams, the size of specific teams was looked into as well. Okay, that was a criteria they were looking specifically. I'm not 100% sure if it was affecting the actual valuation. No, at the end, it's more like down to economics and financial numbers. But still, that was part of the due diligence they were doing.
Now, interesting, Cyril. I think, I think in this table, I mean, there are a few answers from what I mean, from the way I understand it. I think the only thing you won't have here is the timeline, because very often, I mean, the valuation has to be done, I mean, from the last months or years. And if a company has not outsourced the sales department for a minimum of time, I would say that the result won't be very relevant. So I would say that for a company having like 4 or 5 years of experience with outsourcing and restructuring, I think would be very interesting to assess the impact from this outsourcing and restructuring to the valuation. But generally speaking, I think outsourcing, so we're talking about outsourcing key activities, delegating key activities, makes your business, as you see on the table, makes your business more scalable. So you should have fewer bottlenecks and very, very busy founders doing 1,000 things. Restructuring is really aligning teams, reorganizing teams and processes, brings clarity and transparency. So and makes execution more STP. I mean, so I think that brings also investor value. And when you combine both, so this is the third line, it makes the business safer and more attractive, so to investors. So it should be, I mean, at the end it's quite logic, but I think it's an interesting question, because honestly I never thought to it like that, and I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yes, I think the point about one of the key elements you mentioned is that rings a bell for me is like a timeline, as you said, exactly. The timing really is
yes,
key.
and the timing is key, and what would be great in that kind of context is to have the CFO involved, which would be very great, because in most of the project, unfortunately, and I'm talking about as a sales outsourcing expert, we don't have the CFO. Very often, even if when I have some friends, they are CFO, And sometimes they give me leads, they say, hey, Jean-Charles, you should call this company, something is happening with the sales department. I mean, the CFO has all the figures, he knows all about it, but very often internally, he always says, anyway, what sent me the CRM, from the sales director, this is bullshit, I mean, they don't even think it's true, so they don't care. And at the end of the day, I think if you have one CFO very involved into this, it would be very interesting, because it also makes sales and finance align. And if they are aligned, I think they are more ready to test sales outsourcing. Because if they are not aligned, they're not going to test sales outsourcing, because they don't have any ROI, because they don't. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay. So that's for this question. So scale up then. So the scale up, as we said already, it's more about alignment between teams. Usually they are successful companies, they already made a lot of interesting things. So only a couple of questions. How do your marketing and sales team currently are sharing data? Is there a routine, or is more like a meeting, like a quarterly meeting, or from what you've seen? And second question, what's the one place in your sales process where alignment fails most often, if you've seen like that? So if you want to share anything on this, very, very interesting.
Yeah, Jean-Charles, is Dino here. I'm in one of the companies I support. I'm kind of in this part of growth, so in a scale up. I have to say, I'm a big fan of CRM systems for exchanging information and the dashboard to monitor, because I think that's the way marketing and sales should align, Yeah. And having been in both for many years, I know the struggle of what sales believe that marketing is saying and vice versa, right? Where I think the struggle is that CRM and dashboard with data extracted are most often or very frequently loaded with lagging indicator, which give you the results of where you are, but it doesn't give you the sense of the progression or validating the strategy first, which at this stage is probably more important. So I don't know if you have any experience, but usually, especially because finance is critically important at this stage, it's always important at any stage, but there is an overloading of lagging indicator, but this is not favorizing alignment. This is just, checking marks, right?
I will answer you with pleasure, Dino. I think Cyril also wants to add something.
Yeah, just a quick question, because I guess it depends on the size and the industry as well. But again, I'm sorry, I'll take the startup example, but we do have like the revenue operation position and roles that do intervene in between those two sides of the company, like between sales and marketing. Those are revenue operation are the people who check the marketing qualified lead, the sales qualified lead, and manage the data in the back. And they are in charge, at least from in startup, they are the one in charge to maintain the cadence, of the meeting between marketing and sales, because at the end it's always the same issue. Sales complain that the leads are not qualified, and marketing say that you're not reaching the leads we're sending you. So it's always the same discussion, pretty much. In startup, but in any type of industry, it's always been the same that I've been through.
Yeah, interesting, Cyril. And from what you've seen with the CROs on the revenue, have you found it very useful, or do you think sometimes they were at the end a bit far from the business?
No, in my case, in my experience, and from two different situations, I've had RevOps where the key people to communicate in between marketing and sales, because they understood both sides of the business. They understood the challenges of both sides, and as Dino said, they were the one mastering the CRM, either for reporting, for data mapping, for pipeline leads management. They knew, at least in my experience, and they were really good. that makes a big difference. That makes a massive difference on that first part of the funnel, which is acquisition. On other sides of the selling funnel, like retention and customer success, it's a bit different. But on the acquisition, for me, revenue operation were the key roles and the key people to hire, to find, and to work with.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, interesting feedback. I think it's also for scale-up. I mean, being quite successful. I think the challenge from CROs and revenue managers is also they are very useful because they act like as coach for the sales team, because they already have the figures and the CRM process well designed, and I think it's great in that case. But I think when the scale-up is not at this stage, or if it's even if a big startups, it's extremely difficult very often to have them understand the main pain of the sales department, because very often there is a product market fit issue, and the conversion is not there. So in that case, we can have like a very fantastic pipeline, and the CRO is very happy, to share, this is a forecast and so on. But at the end of the day, there is no conversion, and people from marketing are saying, "Hey, we are sending leads, but nobody's converting on the sales side." And I've seen that quite a lot as well. And yeah, and it's a big challenge as well to have marketing manager, the CRO when he's there, and the head of sales being aligned without sending, I know it's not my fault, the CRM is clean. I mean, it's quite funny at the end, but in reality, it's not, because it's things are very blocked. So yeah, so Dino, on that side, yeah, I think it's just I wanted to also to jump on your question, just to give me like one example on my I've seen that that for me makes things a bit more easy. I think a bit easier. I also love CRMs. What I personally don't like is when in companies people just get justification on the sales team because the CRM is properly filled. This I dislike it, because I think this is the excuse, of the sales department for the last 15 years. Some salespeople, they become experts filling a CRM, but there is nothing inside. And if you just ask them, okay, when's the last time you spoke with the clients? The last time was 6 months ago, and for me, that's the big issue. That's the big issue. If there are not current feedback from clients and prospects, for me, the CRM doesn't have any value. The only value is to have someone now hiring someone that speaks with clients and is able to fill in the CRM, and of course, it will have value. So I think it's a very so the thing I wanted to tell you is because I think for me the huge issue is that I think the CRM should be really activated and worked on the daily life if we are sure we have enough feedback and prospecting activities. Otherwise, I would say it's a bit garbage in, garbage out. But at the end of the day, someone will be happy because he will have the nice report and so on. And to me, when there is this situation, I prefer to ask to the sales team, just give me an extract. I don't care about the CRM. It can be a CRM, it can be a Google Sheet or an Excel. Give me an extract of your last 50 people, 50 people, prospects, partners, and clients with whom you talked. And you can add a field, you can add a column of feedback you got from these meetings, And very often I don't get so much. Just, okay, you have a great CRM, so make me an extract of the last 50 people you talked to. And you can add partners and clients, because the guy will say, I don't make a lot of prospection, they are very difficult to reach. The marketing team didn't give me the number. I don't have the mobile numbers. So just this, and I can see if there is like a field, like feedback and interactive feedbacks, face-to-face meetings, and so on. And in most of the case, out of 50 people, I have 2 face-to-face meetings, 48 visio. Even the transcription of the vision are not analyzed. There is no feedback. There is no analysis of the competition. I mean, there is nothing. So I already advise to do this, because at the end of the day, with a CRM, we can say a lot of things, we can send a lot of reports, but when we are talking about feedback, show me the feedback, and I think it's important. So that's for the scale-up slide. Here I just put a sum up on this table regarding this misalignment. So very often we talk about it already regarding a pipeline demonstration, where sometimes you see figures that are not reality in the pipeline. Sometimes you also have accumulation of leads. Very often there are marketing leads, sales leads, depending on which criteria we talk about marketing leads or sales qualified leads. But there is always debate. I think the earlier we are organizing a meeting between sales and marketing, even if for them sometimes it's losing time, I think it's very useful to have the same definition, because just one letter, one criteria, which is not agree between both, will make very wrong activities and bad business. So this is my recommendation. And yeah, I think it's very often, and I'm always, I mean, after so many years, I'm still very surprised to see that very often it's a problem of vocabulary between teams. They talk about a lead, but they have two definitions of a lead. You know, a lead for the marketing teams is not a lead for the sales team, and sometimes for the head of sales, it's not the same definition that for the sales team. You know, so that's quite funny, because in most of the cases, for the head of sales or the founders, a good sales lead, he has a guy having a big budget, ready to buy in the next 3 months. You know, I mean, you know the dream. You know, so sometimes you have to just get to be realistic. And I always say, better having more leads, more qualified leads, where we have an agreement between sales and marketing, than asking to the sales team the impossible. Because if you ask too much, the sales team will be without any motivation, and it will be worse. So, so that's for the scale up. So next, let's turn to the SME and the potential they can lose without making audit and identifying what they can improve. SME. So I hope you like these pictures. So two questions regarding these SMEs. So who feels confident they know where every active lead or lead? Well, I think we discussed that question just before, so it's fine. And if you also tried a sprint audit, rapid reviews with sales team to change a bit the normal process and daily, if someone wants to share like any innovative process he brings or she brings in a company, I'm very, very happy to hear. Otherwise, I will share mine. So I think it's on this part, it's always a question of breaking the routines. So I think breaking the routines is always very good, because sales and marketing people, they need motivation, and no matter they are working offsite, remotely, or at the office, they need to be motivated, because sometimes, I mean, if you prospect every day, I don't know, 10 prospects, and if you have a conversion of 10%, that would be very great. If you have 10% conversion of one day of 10 prospects, you will get only one at the end of the day, right? So if your sales guys are not motivated enough, they will never contact 10 prospects per day. They will be at 5, 6, 7, you know. So they will never close any deals if the conversion is 10%, and 10 conversion is already very ambitious. Yes, 𝗀𝗄𝗏𝗏. So that's the thing. I mean, and regarding SME, I think the issue is very, very often is to have an external view, to check everything that is done for many years, and they don't really care because everything is going on, you know. So sometimes it's tough, but when they start to audit some parts, they discover, everything, not only the sales side. They discover what means agility, they discover that the head of sales from the last 10 years is not that digital, Sometimes they don't even have a CRM, or the CRM is used by 2 people in the company, I mean, they have so many strengths that they could use. Very often for SMEs, of course, when they start to dig into this, they discover gold because they have everything, So that's my recommendation would be to, I mean, sometimes it's tough because culturally not everyone is in LinkedIn. They are not very digital, but I always recommend to try to prospect family business, companies a bit like that, because I think the potential is very huge usually, and because they need everything at the end, and they have already all the data. So that's for the SME. So là, I finished with the with all the profile. So this is regarding truth, and I mean what we can also learn from there. So on my side, I'm looking a lot of social selling and what is written on LinkedIn. I following also a lot of people that I found interesting, and statistics. Most of the case, I think this is true for every type of company, no matter you are a startup or scale up or SME. And I will recommend to always be open to listen to external advice. I think you need to, of course, to recruit correctly, because if you need to have the right people to work with you internally, but you also need to audit often, because many companies, when they have the right guys inside, they don't consider they need an audit, because they think everything is fine. I just hire this new guy, he's coming from these big companies, that's fine. And in most of the cases, they need it more, actually, because this big guy usually has a very great salary, so his objective will be also much higher. So they need to check in his process if he's coordinating the team very well, and if they can improve something. And I think it's very important, because when there is no one, when you are a startup, when there is almost no one to work on prospection, the issue is different. So it will start by the founders, but in the case of a big company or bigger company, of course, the guy is good, but yeah, they need an audit. They need to check in detail what they're doing. So, so this is for the slide. So quick wins for today. Hopefully there are some. So a couple of questions. Which of these would have the greatest impact for your business right now? From what we've said today, do you see some interesting things that could have an impact? What's the best quick win that you share in your network this month? If someone wants to share something, please do it. So I will do my side. I shared yesterday. I was coming from Auvergne, from a family event, and I shared on LinkedIn yesterday. It was it was Sunday actually. I was sharing the good examples I've seen from the small B2C, shops, where you go to the bakery, la boulangerie, and someone call you by your first name, and I mean, they are just great salespeople, but it's a B2C. It's a small shops, and I think in the big corporate and digital world, sometimes they forget very basic things like that. Just like create empathy, create confidence with the clients, and I think of course it's complex in the B2B because we are less face-to-face than before. But I really think that it needs to be re-updated because very often the lack of motivation from teams is also coming from the lack of connection and interaction with partners and clients. So that's my view. So that's it. I think it's 1:30 almost. I think we came across everything. So happy if if you still have a couple of questions, I'm still there.
Anyone would like to ask? Yeah, Cyril?
Yeah, one part as well. As being in charge of operation, what I try to look most of the time is automations. And I mean, luckily the CRM tools are providing those automation in the selling process or the customer journey. But with the AI, it's like it kind of gets even more complicated now, because you don't even know what to automate, or where, or with what. Do I need to add new tools or not? Like, for instance, CRM, we've been using HubSpot like for the last 2 or 3 companies, and it's quite good. It is quite good for pretty much all parts of the selling process of the customer journey. But still, at some point, for example, when we were you talked, or you asked earlier, what can I improve? Well, let's say, for example, what we did, we were registering the calls. You can store that in a HubSpot, okay? And then we uploaded through ChatGPT to make sure, or to ask them, okay, what did the sales rep ask? Was it good? What could he have asked in order for the buyer to be more convinced, or to book a meeting? No? So that's just an example of a new tool, or AI, which in that example was external. Okay, and I'm guessing HubSpot or the CRM will incorporate those tools anyway. But it's also, the tool management, the tool automatization, or tool automation. That's, for me, makes the change between startup and scale-up. And big corporate, I don't know. I haven't worked for ages in big corporate, so I have no idea there. But that's when you see, or when I've seen the big difference. Those companies able to automate those random processes. Now we keep doing especially in the first part of the funnel, and when try to acquire a client, like to qualify the sales. In customer success is a bit less different, even though you get triggers from the database, you can improve and get those automation in a better way. But it's, in my opinion, it's a bit easier. But yeah, automation as another point of discussion as well, no?
No, I agree. I agree with you, Cyril. I think on one side, CRMs like HubSpot that are successful for something. I mean, it's obvious. I think they do a lot of things, and very often what is missing is the motivated people, to work and to use the tools they have to be more effective. So I think that the first thing is motivation and training of people, because sometimes some of them they are not used, they are not following the right CRM training. I mean, we have so many webinars, free webinars on YouTube from all these tools, but they don't even attend it because in their contract they consider it's not their job. I mean, that would be the first thing to me. And the second thing is that regarding AI, and I would add sales methodology. I still look for CRMs and tools that integrate a bit more natively sales methodologies, type Bent or Medic or some frameworks. I think would be very useful. And the second thing regarding AI, I agree with you. A lot of things is present, but at the end of the day, if we have someone already quite experienced with a CRM, it's a trade-off to see like using the AI tool within the CRM, which are not that great sometimes, or using his own ChatGPT or other tools of AI. And at the end of the day, currently, I think it's still easier to use his own tools and after to work on the CRM. But probably I don't know all the CRM, so I'm always interested to see that. So yeah, but I think that's I think we have done. So, but thank you very much for your interaction. It was much more interactive as I was planning. So it's great. So thank you very much, and thank you, Alexandra.
I've got actually just a practical question to ask regarding the sales. Let's say you have, whether you're on your own or you have a small company and you have some sales issue, but you're not sure and you'd like to have an audit. So on your side, just from your experience and the way you do this, how do you proceed? How does it look like? How much time it takes? I think it would be nice to understand, the practicality behind that. Can you share a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Actually, when since I created my company the last 16 years, before I was also younger, I was always doing like a kind of classic sales process with a couple of meetings of qualification, So between 2 and 3 meetings to be sure I get the need properly and making a proposition after at the second call. So that was my process before, but all over the years, I could see that there is such a big lack of education from people consulting sales outsourcing experts. Very often I was losing time because I was doing coaching for free, So now what I decided to do for the last years is that I prefer to tell a company, let's make a short audit, very quick, on your inbound or your outbound or what you have like an issue. And at least I invoiced the audit, And even if it's let's say a small ticket, for a startup, at least if they say yes, it shows that they want to do something really. And I think that's what I'm doing now for the last years, and it's quite effective because after they have the audit, they've seen me, they have the recommendation. If they want to change things internally, that's their decision. But for me, this approach saved me a lot of time because otherwise, some prospect, they are still friends for the last 16 years and they never pay something, They get always something free, So that's my recommendation is to systematize, the audit, structuring proposition or outsourcing proposition, because at the end of the day, if it's not invoiced, I mean, the main competition we have, me as a sales expert and other companies, I think today it's free training on the web, AI for free. I mean, that's the best training they can get, So I think be more productive, and to be more productive, if we meet the clients, we create something, and they say, hey, this is valuable, so I go for it. Otherwise, it's complicated.
Anyone else would like to add something, share? No. So just so this was the first webinar about sales. And again, as you know, with 𝘂𝗎 Lab now we're testing different type of conversation, because really the idea behind this community is a peer-to-peer, and I really like the way we are this session turned into a conversation with everyone, taking turn to share some challenges and experience, so that I think most of you are on the platform. Mary, you're not yet. I can catch up with you on that. But the idea is that within the platform, we have those different spaces, and it's not just to do this over maybe a webinar, but we can continue using the platform and using the spaces to add more to the conversation, to the challenges, and share. So even now, I'd like to combine a mix of using the spaces and the webinar. So if you have other topics sales related, you would like us to continue in this format, you can tell here, or you can reach out to me later, and we can keep that group, and the group might grow, or we can divide the group, because then maybe we have different sales challenges, and this is a way I'm hoping we can grow this to really support you wherever you are. And just quick update about 𝘂𝗎 Lab. So momentum is going well. Still adjusting the spaces to communicate. One great news, if you've seen the post yesterday, is 𝘂𝗎 Lab is an official community partner of the AI Summit in Barcelona, happening next month. So we referred. I'm working on organizing a first side event that will be referred as part of the summit. And just if you want to go and purchase a ticket, just make sure to use a code, because you can get 30% discount on the ticket. So it's pretty good discount. So it's worth to use it. So that's for the updates. More to come, clearly. If anyone else wants to share something, you can find Jean-Charles on the platform. He's there.
Yes.
You know how to find him, and if anyone wants to add something, otherwise we can wrap up.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Jean-Charles and Alex, for organizing.
I know
very
Jean
good.
had to leave, so that's why he left because he had a meeting. So yeah,
Okay.
so you have
Thank you very much for your time.
Call with Jean.
No, thank you. It was great. I mean, it was a great exercise, and I'm really happy to have this. It was very interactive. So I mean, just very happy to speak with all of you guys in the near future. I'm sure we have something to do.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I have to leave.
Shoot your needs, and we can organize something else.
Yeah.
Catch up soon.
Thank you, Alexandra. Thank you,
All right.
and have a nice day.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.